Hey everybody out there, my name is Dragnix, and this is 0rBatlis. It's $9.99, came out of the Steam store a month ago. Before I begin this Let's Try, I want to make sure you guys know that this was obtained via a key from evolve.pr. It's a PR company for like indie games and other games like that. They actually did have Witcher 3 code, so I shouldn't just say indie. But it is a satellite puzzle game that has some interesting things going on with it, with the gravity portion. The problem I have with it more so is that it feels more luck-based more than anything else, and I really feel like I'm out of control of the situation at most points. And I'm going to show you some clips and sections of the gameplay and explain exactly how the mechanics work and things like that. So let's get right into it. This is overlaid commentary, but if you haven't figured that out already. Alright, so the object of the game is to keep your satellite going. How do you do that? Well, you launch your satellite and use the gravity of each of the objects in question to sort of keep it in the field of play while not crashing into everything. As you see here, this run with the satellite does that. The circle around the outer tells you how much time you need before you can pass the level. For here, it took me 15 seconds in order to stay up. Longer you stay up, the better you do on the leaderboard. Now, the thing about the game is that it's a cool concept. It really is. The idea of sort of timing your gravity in terms of timing your sort of hit with the gravity, throwing your, object out in there and sort of seeing what happens with it. The moving gravity is part of the issue, though, is the fact that it is really hard to predict how your object is going to react. Now, you notice the layers of rings within each of the sort of floating objects that I'm working off of. Each of them seems to have a specific gravity pull where if you're in that sort of like center portion of it, it's going to pull a lot differently than the outer rings are. And so little adjustments in your trajectory or your power is going to make a huge difference. So for example, here I'm staying on the outside of the ring in question, like not the major ones, and I'm seemingly getting the same pattern over and over again. But once I hit that middle section of the ring finally, then my trajectory veered off a bit. Now again, a cool idea at the concept, but here's where the problem lies. It becomes more of about a trial and error gameplay, and I'm not a fan of that kind of puzzle gameplay. The fact of the matter is that while you have control of the power, as you see with my mouse cursor there, the power and the trajectory there, you really don't know what's going to happen. And in particular, with everything moving while you're doing it, it's going to be hard to predict what's going to move and what's not going to move in terms of, I shouldn't say not going to move, how you're going to time it so that it's going to go past something. And unfortunately, that leads to frustration. It just leads to specific levels, for example, here caused me so much strife because I couldn't figure out what exactly the timing is. Now, you'll notice that the cursors stay on the field for your attempts. That's to show you what you tried, but that's sort of misleading because again, time is a huge factor. When you clicked it makes a huge difference. And when you click it in specific, it may work for one section of time, but not the other. The thing about puzzle games is that you want some variety in them, but you also want a sense of repeatability. The idea of the similar mechanics, similar expected outcomes. You can have a random puzzle, but the random puzzle is going to be hard for somebody to apply the same mechanics that they've worked with over and over again. And here, I think that's this game's biggest flaw. It gets to the point where I'm just throwing it. I'm just throwing it to see what exactly is going to happen. And unfortunately, that doesn't work a good amount of the time. But even when you're trying to time things right, it still doesn't seem to work. So it's a lot easier to just go for the trial and error portion and just hope that it works than actually thinking it out. Now, for some people, they may have found a way to think it out in a regular basis so that it works for them. I consider myself a reasonable puzzle player. I consider myself to be a smarter kind of person. I do a lot of logic things. I do a lot of stuff in terms of the engineering portion from computer science. And even I'm sitting here going, this is getting on my nerves. It's not even just getting on my nerves. It's more so the fact that it's not fun. The information in front of me is not calculating to exactly what I'm hoping that it will calculate to. Now, the visuals, the minimalistic visuals on this, well, some people would say it works. It has this weird effect where I like the red. I mean, I'm a fan of red. I mean, my entire room is basically red. I like the sort of minimalistic efforts that it tries to put in, but sometimes it just, the way that the colors work, it actually can hurt your eyes a little bit. There are some blur effects at times where it makes me want to squint. There's also performance issues, surprisingly. Even with the recording software, yeah, it's going to take some frames per second, but even without that, there were issues regarding it where it would seemingly chug on sections, and I'm sitting there going, wait, how are you chugging on this? Now, you see here they introduce new mechanics as you go along, like having 2 satellites instead of 1, or actually having to orbit a planet specifically for a period of time before it unlocks the time portion on the outside. When it comes down to it, this is a game that I took a look at, and there's a reason why it took me so long to sort of get my head around it, even though I've only played it for about 2.5 hours. And that's because I felt like there's a way to get this, if there's a way to get this on a regular basis, like understanding what you're doing on a regular basis in order to have a specific outcome, this game would be fine. But I never found that. And because I never found that, it just became a game of frustration. And even though I want to give it more of a chance, it's hit that limit for me where, as a gamer, I'm going to stop. I'm going to go on and move to something else. Even though I want to see the extra levels in it, I've had my fill. And that's ultimately where I have to say Orbitalist fails. It doesn't keep my attention enough to really want to keep on playing. And overall, that's all I can say about it. All right. This was Orbitalist. Again, this was a key obtained from the developer. It took a while for me to do. I apologize for that. Anna's Quest will be tomorrow. I'm going to take a lot more time on that. I'm going to think about how I'm going to redo things over and over again at this point. I've been going back and forth on how I've been doing videos and things like that and Tech Raptor and everything. There's going to be a video like that coming soon, guys. It's been an interesting last week. All right. I will see you all later. Like, comment, subscribe, review in the portion below. All that jazz, and I will see you all later. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you like this content and want to see more of it, you may want to hit that subscribe button on the left-hand side. If you like this video and want to see more of this content, take a look at this video on the left-hand side as well. And if you missed my last video, take a look at the right-hand side. Once again, thanks for watching, and keep on gaming.